His identity was one of the best-kept secrets in New York City. But now former New York Times restaurant critic Pete Wells is revealing himself and calling it quits after years of dining out. He shares some food for thought with our Martha Teichner.
Well, one area that was key,
tucked in a cabinet above the service station,
just in case it might be,
the photograph of Pete Wells, just in case a server suspected the New York Times restaurant critic might have been sitting a few feet away.
That's the universal photo of him around.
This is the one photo.
Ryan Bartlow, the chef and co-owner of Ernesto's, a Basque restaurant in Manhattan, was willing to reveal the dirty little secret New York City restaurants don't like owning up to.
This is our bulletin board.
Pete Wells again, along with pictures of other food critics, cheat sheets in the high-stakes game between restaurants out to spot reviewers and lavish them with special treatment, and reviewers out to remain anonymous.
I don't want to say I was terrified. There's always a little bit of nerve. Maybe your throat gets a little drier, or you're kind of a little bit more on edge.
Everything you put into this restaurant could have been destroyed by a bad review.
Yes. Yeah.
Bartlow, we should tell you, had nothing to fear. Pete Wells gave him a great review in 2021.
New York Times, the 100 best restaurants in New York City.
Yes.
And for the last 2 years, Ernesto's has been on his best of list.
Now, I happen to have with me the photograph that was always...
Yes.
How long ago was that photograph taken?
I think that's probably close to 20 years old. This is my entire disguise wardrobe.
After slipping into restaurants in all sorts of classes.
But I mean, really, are you fooled?
No.
After concocting more than 100 different aliases and paying with multiple credit cards.
David Malone, which I thought was a nice invisible name.
After eating out 5 nights a week since 2012. Pete Wells, arguably the world's most powerful restaurant critic, wrote on July 16th that he was done reviewing restaurants. For him, the game is up.
Do you have any idea how many meals out you had in that 12 years?
Let's say between 2,500 and 3,000 meals, maybe. Is that a lot? I can't tell.
It sounds like a lot.
With the New York Times picking up the tab for Pete Wells to eat out with friends, why quit?
Somehow I can just keep going and going.
Doctor's orders.
My cholesterol had gone out of whack, and my blood sugar was in the pre-diabetic zone. I didn't need anyone to tell me that my liver was working too hard and that it really needed a rest. The weight was no surprise, but everything else was news to me.
So it was a sobering wake-up call to think that being a food critic could kill you.
That was sobering.
Ooh. This is what professional eating looked like for Pete Wells. Welcome to Sema, a South Indian restaurant in Greenwich Village, number 7 on the 2024 New York Times Best Restaurants in New York City list. Vijay Kumar is the chef.
In a place like this, I would try to bring at least 3 other people, because you could order a whole bunch of food.
Typically, he would visit a restaurant at least 3 times and try to sample everything on the menu.
Do you ever feel like the Nathan's hot dog eating contest is stuffing yourself with literally dozens of hot dogs?
So it happens in slow motion, but at the end of the night, I do feel like I've eaten a mile of hot dogs.
So what is all of this?
This is a million different things.
Trin City Roti Shop is a Trinidad Tobago-style takeout near JFK Airport, and number 18 on his 2024 New York Times Best 100 list. Wells has been criticized for ranking places like this above fancy Michelin-starred temples of fine dining in Manhattan.
Do you judge them on the same basis?
I judge them in terms of how delicious is it? That's like at the top, right? And then how well do they do the thing they're trying to do? So that's where you can get, a Trinidadian roti shop and a Jean George side by side.
Wow.
For Ewere Adoro, owner of Ewe's Delicious Treats, a Nigerian storefront in a remote part of Brooklyn,
So this is the Agusi, and then this
and number 99 on this year's Best 100 list, recognition was a miracle.
And I thank God. Are you the person doing it? Yes.
He was the guy.
Very much. I really appreciate.
There you are.
Showman TV chef Guy Fieri wasn't so thankful when Pete Wells, ever the wordsmith, eviscerated his now defunct Times Square restaurant in 2012.
Hey, did you try that blue drink? The one that glows like nuclear waste? The watermelon margarita? Any idea why it tastes like some combination of radiator fluid and formaldehyde? I'd always rather write a positive review. Now, having said that, the negative reviews are often the ones that most people want to read. But where my heart is with the discoveries, the ones that say, hey, stop what you're doing and put this place on your calendar.
What's on his calendar these days is getting healthy, losing the weight he gained, overeating for a living.
I really hope that all the chefs who I've torched over the years are enjoying this display of kitchen incompetence.
What's on the menu? Salad.
Fire away, tell me everything that's wrong with it. Don't be cruel, but be honest.
Be Pete Wells? Okay. This is really good.
Thank you. It's not, necessarily company food, but
He's not leaving the New York Times, only his job reviewing restaurants. But the day his last column was in the paper, his colleagues at the food section paid tribute to what it's meant to be Pete Wells for the last 12 years.
Cheers to Pete! Cheers to Pete!
His permanent successor hasn't been named yet.
when I first came to the Times in 2006, a reporter warned me not to identify myself too heavily with my work. Any job at the Times is a rented tux, she said. It's time to return the tux. I've had the trousers let out a few inches, but a tailor can take them in again. As for the stain on the jacket, that's just pork fat. I think it adds character.